looking back overall, what was this year like for you coming in the middle of a pandemic and obviously having to adjust to the weird season that this was?
Yeah, obviously some things were obviously, strange in terms of getting to know your teammates. I think that was the one thing that you miss, this year was being able to go for dinners and have those, kind of bonding type trips where you get to know everybody and didn't really have that, this year. I think certainly a fun year though for us. Obviously fell short, but it's always fun coming somewhere and getting to know your teammates. And I think we adjusted well. It was obviously a little bit different at first for me and my wife and the family, but I think as things progressed, you feel more and more comfortable.
Next, we'll go to Jesse Granger with The Athletic.
Hey, Alex, I know you said that you thought your play was kind of consistent and it was just the production and the goals were going in the playoffs. I'm curious, looking back on it, were there things that maybe clicked? You mentioned early in the year finding tendencies for guys, and that's particularly important for you distributing on the back end. Were there things that clicked in the playoffs that you think you can roll into next year and maybe that production follows?
I think being aggressive in our play in general as a team, I think, for me personally, the last 10 games moving into the playoffs, trying to be more aggressive and trying to create a little bit more without sacrificing on the back end is something that I can continue to do. I think, again, when you play with guys long enough, their tendencies kind of become second nature. I think that's an important thing for me. And I've touched on it before, is playing in a new system is always different. I pretty much played in a similar system for 10 years. So it took time to adjust, and I started to feel more comfortable with the way Pete wants us to play on the back end as things moved on.
Next question for Alex Pietrangelo goes to Justin Emerson, Las Vegas Sun.
Alex, you kind of touched on it with the answer to your first question, but coming from St. Louis, the only team you played with, your wife's from there, your kids were born there, of course, there's just an inherent risk, of course, that, things don't work out exactly. But at least from a hockey standpoint, does making the conference final kind of validate that decision to leave St. Louis and come to the Golden Knights?
Well, I don't think you're not just necessarily looking for reasons. I mean, we thought we had a good chance to, win it this year. So it's nice to make the conference finals. I think all of us are proud of, what we did this year in a strange year. We played a lot of hockey. I think there's still a sense of disappointment when you don't try and get to that goal and do what you want to do and win. I think a lot of guys will say the same thing. So was it a successful year in terms of, getting to the conference finals? Sure. But I think we all feel like we kind of, fell a little bit short of our goal here of winning.
Next, we'll go to Ed Graney with the Las Vegas Review-Journal.
Alex, obviously you've played for other coaches. You just mentioned Pete. What about him? Will you remember from this year and as you move forward, everyone says you're very, very close as a team with him leading it. So what stands out to you about his leadership and how you can get there under him?
Yeah, I think and he has a good feel for our group. He has a good feel for the players and has good dialogue with the players. There's a good relationship there. And I think for us, now that it's been, a year, I guess a full season, if you want to call it that, under Pete, it's going to make things easier moving into next season with a normal training camp and hopefully a normal season. So I think guys started to feel more comfortable in the system as the year went on, and that'll only make things better. It's hard for obviously a coach to come in. Then you get the bubble last year, and then you come in this year with a shortened training camp, and all of a sudden no exhibition games in your plan. So I think we felt comfortable as the season went on with him, and I'm sure he felt the same way.
Next, we'll go to Vince Sapienza, Channel 5, Las Vegas.
Alex, just the conversations today with teammates. Obviously, I know, seeing a season end is never easy, but I mean, what are those conversations like on a day like today? Because it didn't feel real coming to the rink and having an exit medical.
Honestly, I think most of the conversations are fairly casual today. I think we're only 48 hours removed from not even from the game. So it's still, I think sometimes it takes a little bit longer to kind of sit back and really think about, why we didn't win and what we can do to get better. I mean, I'm not big on, making some rash discussions right after you lose because emotions are so high. So sometimes it's better to take a couple days or a week and kind of think things over, get your thoughts right, and have those discussions about how to get better as a player individually and collectively as a group.
We'll take two final questions for Alex. Next one goes to David Shane, Las Vegas Review-Journal.
Hi, Alex. What was it like watching Marc-Andre and Robin work together this year? And what is maybe the concern level as players that tandem won't be back together next season?
I haven't even thought about that second part of the question, but the first part was great camaraderie between the two. I mean, there's obviously a great respect between the two of them, and the way they helped each other and alternating games is kept both of them fresh. So it's a relationship that was fun to watch, and we're talking about guys who have a really strong pedigree in this league to be able to be that close and respect each other and have that kind of relationship. I think kind of bled into the rest of the team, and it was certainly they kind of led the charge in that in terms of how close we were as a group, and to see those guys work together was pretty special.
Last question today for Alex Pietrangelo comes from Chris Matthews, Channel 8, Las Vegas.
Alex, you've been in the league for so long. I'm just kind of wondering your personal feelings now on, you kind of touched on a little bit, the hopefully getting back to a normal season, a normal schedule where you're not seemingly playing every other day. And then the chance to go back east and play some of these teams, and those teams come into T-Mobile Arena and the fans see these stars that they didn't have a chance to see this season. Just kind of your thoughts on that. And then do your best to convince me that I should go out and buy a Honda.
I have 2 Hondas, so I got 4 kids. It's great. I mean, we love it. I mean, there's a reason why we have 2 of them. Nothing better if you got kids. But to the other part, I think hopefully we get back to a normal schedule, a normal year where I think we enjoy playing. Everybody too. You see players and young players and guys changing teams and new coaches and see how teams adapt. And I think we missed that this year, and hopefully, it's tough playing every other day because if you get an injury, it lingers. And I think for some guys and for myself, and when you have an injury, it takes, a lot longer because you're not getting an opportunity to rest. And when those things linger, it isn't fun. In a normal year, you have opportunities to take breaks. This year we didn't. So hopefully things get back to normal.
Thanks, Alex.